Chase Thomas podcast. My nephew needs me to record. See, I already hate it. I hate it.
All right, we're back here on the Chase Thomas podcast from still the aforementioned Chase Thomas coming to you live from Knoxville, Tennessee, Everything School HQ. Joining me 2 weeks out from the South's favorite rivalry, Ryan Sylvia, Rocky Top Insider, is here. Ryan, good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good. I mean, it's the best part of football season. It's, the rivalries start to heat up. Tennessee's got a game this weekend. It's kind of one of those hope the mental's in the right space for the Vols before Kentucky, and hope they don't look past this one against Alabama. That's, it's one of the annual rivals. So I guess, it's somewhat of a rivalry, but really it's the weekend after when the Vols head to Lexington that things really start to heat up for Tennessee.
It's a classic letdown look ahead spot.
That's exactly where I'm thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel bad for the Tennessee Volunteers because they have to continually wonder when they're going to play this game. Cause it used to just be the final game of the season, and we just knew that we put a bow on the end of the Tennessee football season with the very best. And now it's right after Alabama. So it just kind of clouds, rivalry week, cause you're like, is it Kentucky? Is it Alabama? I don't know. It makes it more complicated for the fans over these next 2 weeks about which way, how much emotional investment is going to be required. Do they go to Lexington or they go to Tuscaloosa? That's a big decision. Two big time games under the lights, both night games.
Yeah, under the lights. We were talking before this. There's something special about Kroger Field under the lights. Yes. I mean, it's you look at it, and it's what college football is all about. It really is.
100%.
I mean, it feels like we're KSR right now. I don't know what we're doing.
That voice you hear. Making his Chase Thomas podcast debut, FANRUN radio producer for the Playbook with William Pattison from 1 to 3, Monday through Friday, right there on FANRUN radio, Fox Sports Knoxville. It's Brett Hullander. Brett, good evening, my friend. How are you?
I'm good, buddy. Happy to be on with you. It's been a few weeks since we spoke.
Yeah.
I hope things are well with you and Ryan. We had some times on there on Wednesdays, I guess it was. So
yes.
As I said earlier, I can't believe you guys didn't have me next week to make my debut when it's such a bigger game, bigger environment. The list goes on and on.
Well, this again, you're already setting yourself up where you're like, I guess I'm not coming back. You can come back next week, Brett. I don't know what your schedule's like. If you want to come back and talk Kentucky week, because Sylvia and I have carved out 3 hours to do a full deep dive because we want to make sure we cover the whole history before we even dive into this year.
Well, we're doing 3 a day, correct?
3. That's right.
Oh Lord.
And it's also, Brett, we need to make sure that you got on this week because Chase's affinity for the Crimson Tide, so we need to get your thoughts on Crimson Chase, Roll Tide Thomas, and what's coming up this weekend on his end of things from his fandom.
Best, what? This has been tough for me because I got so much grief, the office and everywhere else, at Alabama losing to Florida State. And I don't get to, it's just one of those deals where I don't even, I don't want to be right about this. I didn't want to be right that Ty Simpson was going to be really good and Ty Simpson's the best quarterback in the SEC. I didn't want to be right about Alabama being the best team in the SEC this year. But a lot of people overreacted to that opening loss at Florida State. And look, they've turned the tide, man, for lack of a better term. But, it's going to be fun. I can't wait for this game this weekend. Now, is it on the same level of the blue and orange the following weekend? No. But look, this is a nice appetizer. Tennessee, Alabama will be a nice table setter for the main course that is Tennessee, Kentucky in Lexington at Kroger Field next Saturday night. I'm just grateful that it's going to be under the lights. It's going to be nice and chilly up there. So might get a stew going. Who knows? I don't know if I'll have time. We'll see where things head going into Kentucky next week. The South's favorite rivalry between the Tennessee Volunteers and the Kentucky Wildcats. But before we get into that, let's talk some Alabama here. Will the Vols end the streak that they have not won in Tuscaloosa since 2003 on Saturday? Ryan Sylvia, which way are you leaning here on a Wednesday night?
You're not going to like it, Chase, but I do have Tennessee winning this game.
Do you? Is it official?
Yeah. I'm rolling with UT, and that was my preseason pick, and I'm going to stick with it. A lot of it comes down to, I think this game is essentially decided on, can Tennessee stop the run? Now, when you think about it that way, it feels pretty bad. But at the same time, it feels like Tennessee's been in position to, Arkansas has a really good offense. And I think a lot of people are overlooking that because of the fact that it was an interim head coach and the team's not very good. The defense is so bad. But Arkansas's offense is pretty good, and Taylor Green is dynamic. Tennessee was in position to stop the run. They just literally weren't making the plays. If you go back and watch the game, there's times Arian Carter's right there, doesn't make the play. Jeremiah Thielander right there, doesn't make the play. Those are the two guys, you single out the most because they're the linebackers, and they were the ones that were probably misplaying it the most. But it's other guys as well. I'm going to bank on those guys stepping up and playing better and playing with the hair on fire. I with Edwin Spillman out, that obviously is not ideal for the first half with the targeting call. I really like what Jaden Perlotti did in the limited snaps he had against Arkansas. He'll make some mistakes, but if he plays with his hair on fire, which he was in that game against Arkansas, I think that could go a long way in helping up and stop the run. We'll see what Jam Miller's availability looks like. That could also throw a wrench in things positively for Tennessee if he's not able to go. But I'll bank on Tennessee looking a lot better against the run this game. Now, I don't think it'll be a completely fixed defense. I think Tennessee's going to need to score a good bit, which I'm confident Joey Aguilar and company can do. But it feels like a game where Tennessee, I guess, they've had the 3 close SEC games. I anticipate this one being close as well, but it feels like you didn't get the signature win, I guess, against Georgia. I think this could be the one where you end up on the right side of things by the end of the game, even though it is close.
I love this optimism. I'm dying to know if Brett Hullander shares in this optimism right now.
No, I don't know. You probably love this being the Bama guy you are, Chase.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, this doesn't. Just because you don't appreciate the South's favorite rivalry doesn't mean you have to encourage this Tide Thomas behavior, Crimson Tide Thomas. We don't have to do this.
I like to tell the truth.
Oh,
yeah, I like to tell the truth when it comes to stuff. I don't know about you, Chase, but I just don't like where we are defensively. I mean, I think the way Ty Simpson is playing, it's one thing to stop the runs, next thing to stop the pass, which we're almost worse at than stopping the run right now. And whether you play zone, man, I think Ty's just he could have a field day. I totally expect that. This is the best defense I think we've faced. The last time we saw us on the road, we made mistakes. I don't like that. You don't like Heupel's track record on the road in big games. I mean, everything points to an Alabama, I think, comfortable win on Saturday, personally.
I don't agree with that, Brett. And I think part of it is, so did y'all see that stat that came out? Someone did like the average margin of victory over the last 7 years in the SEC. Did y'all see that stat floating around? This year, 8 years ago, 7-8 years ago, the average SEC margin of victory was 17.5 in intra-conference games. Mm-hmm. It's the lowest it's ever been in those last 2 years. It's 10.7. So it's all these games are close. We're now we talk about just how the college football is going more and more like the NFL. I think what we've seen, especially in the first 3 games for Tennessee, 2 of which have gone to overtime, Heupel had, I think, 1 SEC overtime game before this season, and he already has 2 this year. And last year was against Florida. That was his first overtime SEC game. For that, he had never been to an overtime game. He has 2 this year. We're not even halfway through conference play, and these games are really, really close, and the margins are so thin where Tennessee is averaging, I think, 38.2 points per game in conference play. They're also giving up 36.3. So it's just the margin is so thin for Tennessee to win and lose football games. And I don't know. I think this game's going to be close because I think all these games are really, really close. And I think they're all going to just drive us insane all year long because Tennessee's going to be in all of them. Tennessee, I don't think is going to run away from Vanderbilt. They're not going to run away from Florida, even if it's an interim. They're not going to run away from Kentucky. I mean, that's a rivalry game. You got to toss out the record books and where both teams are, in a game like Tennessee, Kentucky. But I do like some of the matchups here between Tennessee and Alabama. Alabama's issues running the football, that's good for Tennessee because I don't know if that gets cleaned up at this point in the season, of that being Tennessee's rush defense. I think Tennessee is going to be able to score on Alabama. Mm-hmm. I do think that is going to happen. Tennessee should have been up 3 scores going into the half 2 years ago with a much worse offense. And we're right there. So I don't know. I don't think they're really intimidated by going to Tuscaloosa. Both games they've shown well, especially offensively early on. So I don't know. I think Tennessee's going to be in this in the fourth quarter. Now, I think they're going to win ultimately. Still got a couple days here to fully put my name on it. But Brett, I think you got to give Ryan a little bit more credit here. I think it's like a 48-52 type deal to me in terms of where I'm at in terms of Tennessee's chance of winning this game. Part of it is just is the turnover stuff sustainable? Because if it's not Tennessee, I don't know how they went on the road in this kind of. But if they get 2 more of those kind of defensive touchdowns, they got it in Mississippi State, and they force turnovers that Bama has not committed this year, they definitely have a shot. But I think it's going to take that just because of how bad this pass defense is and how much Ty Simpson will shred this team. Like Tennessee's going to have to score like 35 plus, maybe 40 plus to win this game outright.
Well, let me ask you, like, it seems the only way we're stopping people is by forcing turnovers.
Yeah.
Something Alabama hasn't done all season.
Mhm.
We're not getting off the field on third down. Alabama's one of the best in the country at that. You're not stopping people in the red zone. All the stats scream that Bama's going to walk the dog. Smokey, for that matter, on Saturday.
Well, we haven't seen Smokey. Smokey just disappears.
Well,
I'm not committing to Smokey.
You know he's
here on the
traveling.
sideline.
You might have to dress your dog up as Smokey for Halloween just to make an appearance.
Hey, look, Khaleesi has a Tennessee jersey. I could probably get Khaleesi the dog out here and some. I mean, she kind of has a smoky look. She has a mountain dog look, so maybe we could do it. She would also hate doing all that. Like, there's no chance Khaleesi is doing the big crowd type deal. But we shall see. We shall see. I'm very excited to see how this game unfolds, but I don't see any way that this is not like a one possession game going into like the final 4 minutes of this game. Like, I think it's just going to be down to the wire, like the last 3 have been.
It feels like the NFL in that way, where it's like you see like a 10-point spread in the NFL, and you're like, "Good God, that thing's going to be a blow." That's what the SEC feels like right now, where if it gets to like a double-digit spread, it's like, man, they must, they really feel good about one way or the other. When before it felt like every other week it was, a 10-point spread plus if you were a good team. Like the tier list has gone from like 1 or 2 teams in the top tier of the SEC that feel untouchable, and then a handful where it's like, yeah, they could make the SEC championship, or I guess, like last year, a 12-team playoff, where like Tennessee was probably in that second tier behind maybe like Georgia and Texas and a handful of other teams with Tennessee. Then there's another, now it feels like there's like 3 tiers in the SEC. And unfortunately for the South's favorite rivalry with Tennessee and Kentucky's probably alone in the bottom tier as the worst team in the conference. Then you have the group where it's like, yeah, I mean, they're like the Mississippi State's, Arkansas, they're fine, but they're not great. And then everyone else, like 6-7 teams, I feel like are kind of on somewhat equal footing, which is why I think you do have some optimism going when Georgia comes to town or when Tennessee goes to Alabama, where, historically you haven't had much success there, but this year and in this era of college football feels like they'll go more back and forth than ever before. I just also have a lot of faith in Tennessee's offense in this one. Like I have full confidence Joey Aguilar will get over that 200-yard mark. He might push towards 300. We'll see how many possessions and how much time Alabama ticks off the clock, because that is something Alabama wants to do in the past, is kind of make it low possession games. So that's something that if Tennessee's defense isn't that good, that could also play into Tennessee's advantage if it's a lower possession game. Because once again, I have a good amount of confidence that Tennessee's just going to move the ball in Alabama. I think they'll establish the run. We'll find out about an hour from now recording what Deshaun Bishop's Wednesday night official availability report status is, but it feels like he'll be fine to go. So you have to be confident there. And then it's just like Joey Aguilar hasn't been phased yet by anything. He hasn't been phased by the first drive against Syracuse or the SEC opener at home in front of a Checker Neyland against Georgia or on the road at Mississippi State. I just can't imagine that this game against Alabama is going to phase him either. I think the offense is going to put up a bunch of points, whether that's, because I think we talked about that Arkansas game, and it feels like a shootout in some ways, and it was like 34-31, just kind of the possession times and things like that, and the turnovers change things. So it could be a similar feeling where it's like 38-35, and it feels a lot more like an offensive game than what the score shows up. I just think Tennessee's offense is going to move the ball. I'll trust the defense to continue to create some turnovers. I think they'll take a step forward in the run department and stopping the run. And then in coverage too, it's going to be a tall ask to ask Ty Redmond to hold his own the whole game, but I think they'll do a good enough job in pass coverage as well, where I'm not saying they're going to limit Alabama to less than 20 points or something, but I think kind of the story that it's been throughout the SEC play this year, the defense will be good enough. They'll give you a chance to win the game, and that's what they've done in all 3 games. They haven't been perfect, haven't even necessarily been good, but they've given Tennessee a chance when it's mattered and had those stretches where they're able to get off the field.
Yeah, and if you don't score off those, like 2 turnovers, 3 and outs for Tennessee against Arkansas, I don't think you can get away with that on the road at Alabama. Like if this defense forces 2 turnovers in Tuscaloosa on Saturday and you come away with no points and 2 3 and outs, that's a recipe for disaster. Like you're going to have to capitalize on those type of deals in Tuscaloosa.
What's the bigger injury? Do we need Deshaun Bishop, or do they need Jam Miller more?
Oh,
they need Jam Miller more.
I might say that Tennessee needs. I don't know, because like
Deshaun's been the best.
Right. DeBoer has been so good at not establishing the run. It doesn't matter. Like, do y'all remember that injury-plagued running back season with Washington when they went to the national title? Like, every week it was like, oh, is he going to be all right? And everything. Like, that's not how they move the ball. Like, they rely on their 3 potential NFL guys. We'll see if Isaiah Horton ends up being an NFL guy. He's right there at the border. But, like, 2 NFL guys, obviously, and Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard. But, like, they'll move the ball that way, right? They're, like, to your point, Sylvia, like, they're going to pick apart this team little by little with the receivers, with the tight ends. Like, yeah, it would be nice to be able to establish the run with the run game, and Jam Miller's a good part of that. But man, Ty Simpson in this receiving core is very happy to dink and dunk you to death, which is what Tennessee just has been really, really bad at just fixing. And I just don't see it getting fixed, especially on the road at Tuscaloosa on Saturday. It really comes down to holding them to field goals when they get in the red zone, and then getting a couple turnovers. Like, you got to get a couple, and you've got to do things with them. And I think that's possible. Like, everyone's like, it's not sustainable. I'm like, I don't know. Tennessee's number 1 in sacks. They're obviously always great at TFLs, Brett.
Yeah.
And I just think crazy things happen when Jordan Ross, Tyree West and company just blindside quarterbacks. Like, they might fumble it. Like, it's just Colton Hood just has to jump 1 passing lane. Colton Hood has to do it once, and that might be 6, and that might flip the game. Like, I understand when people who get a little bit worried about the sustainability, but I'm like, I don't know. Tennessee's going to sack Ty Simpson several times. Like, the right side of Alabama's offensive line is not good. And I think there is real vulnerability there to Tennessee's Leos. So I think they're going to get opportunities. And it just takes one right hit from one of these big blue chip Tennessee Leos to change the game. And I think it's possible.
Yeah, yes. I mean, Bama's 3rd in the country in defensive, pass defense as well, but this is obviously the best passing attack they're going to see. They just seem really good at stopping what you're good at. They held Missouri down for the most part last weekend with Hardy and Purbuell in the run game and things like that. I feel like, we got to try and get them out of coverage as best we can. Don't let them blanket Brazil so we can take one-on-one shots and things like that. Like, the run game is so key, and I don't think we ran the ball particularly well till last weekend. Partly because the pass game has been so good. So it's going to be interesting. This is quite the matchup, between 2 good offenses, and whose defense can make more stops, I guess, is the key on Saturday.
This does feel like a game where if Tennessee, it is a game you can bend but don't break. Like last year, Tennessee's defense didn't really have that luxury, because if you gave up a handful of field goals, then all of a sudden the offense wasn't able to pick you back up. This season, the defense can bend but not break. They can let a team drive all the way down the field and then stand up at the 15 and hold them to 3, and that feels like a win. And again, I just have confidence Tennessee's going to move the ball well on offense. Now, defensively, you brought out some of those stats, Brett. The only thing that I go back on that a little bit is like Alabama's played primarily good running teams right now. So the defensive stats stopping the run don't look great, and the defensive stats stopping the pass look a lot better. I'm curious to see how much of that is Alabama and how much of that is, Missouri's going to want to run the ball, so they're going to try to run the ball a lot. Vanderbilt with Diego Pavia and company, they're going to try to run the ball a good bit. So that is something that I think we'll learn about Alabama this week, maybe a little bit more than Tennessee's offense is, where are actually those strengths and weaknesses, and how much of it is just who you've played so far.
I think that's fair. Nate Ament, I think it's pretty interesting in terms of like what the aid is, and obviously Tennessee basketball will be here with SEC media days and all that good stuff happening this week, and John Calipari making some news talking for Arkansas this week, but it's right around the corner. One of the things I think a lot of fans are just kind of anxious about is who's going to be getting the most amount of minutes. The 2. Brett, could you see a scenario with what you know about Tennessee basketball and where they're at with just the different amount of options Tennessee has at in the backcourt, and kind of the uncertainty, I guess is the best way to frame it, that Nate Ament could just end up being Tennessee's primary 2 guard, and that they just go super big for the majority of this year?
That's a good question. I don't know if they want to do that. I think they have the ability to. Obviously, they've done that in practice and things like that. It sounds like the scrimmage, for the most part, a lot of the 2 guards performed pretty well from what you read and heard and stuff like that. So, I mean, the flexibility Barnes has on this team is wild, and Ament's a unicorn, you could say. He could probably play point forward if you had him to. So yeah, I mean, I could definitely see him playing the two. It could be a matchup nightmare for teams, and defensively, it would just you couldn't score on us. I mean, flat out couldn't score on us. Couldn't do it. You probably wouldn't be able to do anything against us. So yeah, I could see it, but I don't necessarily think it'll be something we see at the start of the season. It'd just be out of necessity, I guess.
What do you think, Sylvia?
I don't think he'll see the majority of time of the two. I think the majority of the time will be at the three, but he certainly can play the two, like Brett was saying. And I think that's, I mean, my favorite theoretical lineup that Justin Gainey's talked about as an option that they have is Jacoby at the 1, Nate at the 2, Cade at the 3, and then take your pick at 4 and 5 between the loaded front court that they do have. And that is why Nate Ament's able to play. Like, I don't think he'll play pretty much a second at 4. Maybe they'll try to go small in a couple of certain situations, but unless that is truly like, all right, you want to kind of go to a smaller lineup, which is funny to say, Nate Ament at what, like, feels like 7 feet tall, is a small ball lineup when he's at the 4, but they are just so deep in the front court. Like, you know, the top 2 guys at each spot, Felix and JP, both seem like they're really good options at center. You have Jalen Carey and Cade Phillips can obviously play the 4, but even they're talking about Dwayne Brown. Rick said today at Media Days that, like, he was a guy that they didn't, they wanted him on the team. He made sure to clarify that, but they didn't know exactly what to expect. And they've been very, very positively surprised. And he thinks he'll have a role this year, which I don't know how that's even possible with how many guys they have lined up to get minutes, but that shows the depth they have there and why Nate Ament lines up to play a lot of 3. And then, maybe that is a situation where, since you have the depth there, that could bump Cade Phillips down a little bit more, especially if he is able to stretch the floor a little bit. You maybe feel a lot more comfortable about him as just a really big 3. And then that in line, as we're saying, pushes Nate down to the 2. So all that said, I think you'll see it at times. I just wouldn't say the majority of the time he'll be at the 2. I think the majority of the time he'll be at 3. And like, when you look at the starting lineup, I'm not sure who the 2 is going to be right now, whether it's Ethan Berg or Amari Abram, but I think Nate Ament will be that quote unquote 3 in that lineup.
I could see a scenario where it never closes, but I feel like in Rick's like heart of heart, like he would love to be able to get away with like the first 5 minutes being that lineup that Gainey's talking about, which is Cade at the 3, Nate at the 2, Jacoby at the 1, probably Estrella at the 4, and Felix at the 5. I think Estrella's turning too many heads. Here's an early prediction. I think Estrella is starting the first game of the season. I think Estrella and Akpar are going to start at the 4 and 5. And I think Cade's coming off the bench. Like, that's my prediction coming out. I think that's what they're going to do. And it'll probably be like Amari Abram at the 2 and kind of ease Berg in. I think ultimately Berg plays the most amount of minutes of anybody at the 2 this season. If I had to guess, ballpark it, like who ends up at the end of the year, we look at most amount of minutes at 2. I would guess Berg, probably the best bet there. But yeah, I think Estrella's going to end up starting, and I do think it would not surprise me if there is a early try of, hey, let's throw Nate at the 2 and then see what Cade does at the 3 early on. And if it doesn't work, then you just quickly pivot. But I could see Barnes wanting to try that at least out of the gate.
Sure, I just think a good bit of it comes down to if Cade Phillips can actually shoot. Like, if he's,
but we won't know until in game action, right? Like, we won't know until he actually rise and fire. Are you going to try it? Like,
if that is truly a part of his game, he doesn't have to shoot 40% from 3 or something crazy. But if that's truly part of his game where you have to respect the shot, then it'll work. If it's a situation where he's not shooting it, or he's just shooting at such a bad clip that you don't have to respect it and you're just completely comfortable letting him shoot it, I don't know if it would work long term. But as you say, they have plenty of time before they get to that really tough stretch of the out of conference schedule to tinker with things like that. See how things work like that. But then also too, I think it'll be Amari starting at the 2. I just feel like that makes the most sense because they don't necessarily need a guy who can create his own shot in the starting lineup with that 5. But what Amari is he can be a spot up shooter and he can play really good defense. So to me, that makes the most sense. And then Ethan would theoretically be that spark off the bench, the Jordan Gainey type of role. I'm not saying he is Jordan Gainey or will be as good in that role as Jordan Gainey, but maybe that's more the idea there.
I just hate Cade at the 3. I really do. I just don't think he can shoot. He just does not look like it. I feel like it with his athleticism and his energy, and you need him off the bench coming in as a big. Let him be a 4, just being a pest down there on the inside. He's, like I said, I just can't see it. I personally hate how many bigs we do have. I just think we're going to lack a lot of shooting. what you need. It's clogging the paint. So how hard is it going to be to get to the basket? And I'm just going to have to see it. I was very negative about last year's team, and I was wrong in the end. But the style of basketball is different these days, and you can't go off the way Houston beat us or match up with Florida or whoever. It's great and all, but outside of Gillespie, I just don't know what kind of shooting we have on this team until
I think Nate's an elite shooter. I think Nate's going to be really.
Elite?
I think Nate is a plus shooter, and I will be very surprised if Nate is not hitting.
Word.
Nate's a good shooter.
Elite is like Steph Curry.
I mean, not Steph Curry. Like, if that's the bar, then, what is that? Can we not get a middle ground? I think Nate's going to be a really good shooter as a true freshman for Tennessee.
I mean,
Nate can create his own shot and score from all three levels too. So I understand what you're saying, but like I'm fully okay with Nate Ament getting into the mid range and just saying I'm taller than you and can shoot over your head. Like that's a completely fine, and it's rare that is a shot that you're fine with in this day and age of basketball. But I think he's that type of player. And then Jacoby's such a good shooter. I think it makes up for any other shooting woes. I think Amari can be a really strong shooter. I'm curious how much Troy Henderson plays, but if you did a 3-point contest, I think you'd get second place behind Jacoby. Troy Henderson's a fantastic shooter. Now he's smaller, and we'll see how much he plays, and it's tough to get your shot off. But like I said, 3-point contest, I would think Jacoby would win. I think Troy would have a really nice outing too.
Interesting.
So Boswell's just out of the equation.
Boswell's just, I don't know where.
I don't know what he does well.
I think you try Boswell early, right? Like you see what he can do.
He deserves the shot to try it.
But I don't know what, like, there's so many other guys around him he's competing with that have a niche. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's just something that, like, Berg knows exactly who he is and what he's good at. Amari Abram, we know he's just a volt of he's going to be he's going to pull up and he's going to shoot. Like, Amari Abram is like tailor-made for 6-man for this group, and just guy who could be bucket getter in 12 to 15 minute spurts. But like, Amari Evans, like, you, even as a true freshman, it's like, I know what we're getting there. Like, we're getting a defender. Like, I know what he's really good at, and what I can throw him in. I just don't know what Bishop's main calling card is going to be to keep him on the floor for 10 to 12 minutes a night. Like, he's a great leader, but I just don't know. Yeah, Bishop just feels like the odd man out to me, but I think he should have the opportunity early on to prove whether or not he can do it. Like, maybe the shot's a lot better than we thought. Like, that's the main thing. If, like, what if Bishop actually does make the leap shooting wise? Like, that's what I think they would need at that spot from him. Because I think the defense is pretty solid, but if he became like a 3-and-D guy, that's huge. Like, because, like, he can ball handle a little bit, like, he can do some different stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Bishop is in a tough spot going into this year, I feel like.
The issue with Bishop is it feels like a lot of the times on offense, when he gets the ball, the last thing he's thinking about is scoring. And you don't want a guy to go out as a true freshman last year, or even at some of the practices I've been able to see this year, and start just launching shots that are ill-advised. But if he does want to carve out that 3-and-D role, it does mean you have to get some of the threes off. And that just feels like something that he hasn't looked to do, and that he'll have to do if he wants to crack the rotation. But it does feel like early, I think it'll be kind of like what you saw on the Lady Ball side last year, where you had like 13, 14 players. And it's like, you can play all of them against these out-of-conference teams and see what you have. That feels almost like what the men's team's going to do, where I expect Bishop to get his chances. I think Troy will play a little bit in these out-of-conference games. And I think you'll see, Dwayne Brown and Bishop and everyone else involved that's pretty much on scholarship. And you have an idea of who 6, 7, 8 guys are, but you'll find out who wants to finish out that rotation, who you can trust. And I do think that you'll see a good bit of everyone early in the year, because you do have that little stretch until you get to kind of that Houston trip to play in the Players Era tournament, and you got some tougher games there. Before that, though, I think
Maui Invitational.
The field there is just falling off a cliff.
That's what the Vegas thing did. The Vegas game just crushed that. That stinks, man. We're in the Maui hat over here. Like, I got over here in Maui last summer. Big Maui guy. It was I tried to go. It's not close, by the way, where we were staying. I was like, it's kind of a hell. It's a tough, like, there's no games going on, and it's a tough sell to the wife to be like, hey, I know we're in Maui for maybe the only time ever in our life. Can we spend like part of the afternoon just going to this empty gym to go check out Maui? Like, yeah, that's tough sell, tough pull.
Empty gym, isn't it just a ballroom?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Never been.
Or am I thinking of Nassau or something? If I even pronounce that right, it's one of them.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Battle for Atlantis is in a ballroom.
Oh,
Maybe
that might be it.
I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Just another question about basketball. Like, are we gonna be able to play with pace? Like, is that something we're doing? Like,
I don't think you want to with this roster. I feel like this is the roster you want to slow things down as much as possible, right?
Yeah, I think I think you feel pretty good about the half-court offense with this team, like with what Jacoby can do, not only at getting his own shot, but he's a great playmaker too, and I think he'll get other guys. I mean, you're not going to turn down playing with pace. Like if you have an opportunity to run, but I don't think it'll be like priority number one necessarily.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Final thing here. Kim Caldwell's Lady Vols are number 8 in the preseason poll here. Ryan, does that feel about right to you when you look at, UConn and South Carolina, the usual suspects at 1-2? And are you worried about this high preseason poll mark for a team that's going to have a lot of new faces, both true freshmen and also transfers, that like you're going to be able to build off last season's success and be a top 10, top 8, top 5 potential team in Kim Caldwell's second season?
I think it feels about right. Like this team feels like a 2 or a 3 seed in March Madness, and that would be what an 8 seed is you're either the last 2 seed or you're on the edge of being one of those top 3 seeds. I'm not worried about it either being like a thing that sets them up for failure, and a lot of that is just because of the type of coach Kim Caldwell is, and that's something she talked about today at SC Media Days. Is she said that she feels like the team has a very high ceiling, they can be really, really good and make a Final Four and do those types of things. At the same time, she feels like they have a really low floor, which is a funny thing, to hear your coach say, but it's kind of a refreshing thing too, where she's like, hey, we know if we go out there and you don't play to the potential you have and you're not focused on what you need to be focused on, that it's going to be ugly and you're going to lose games. So if there's a coach, I mean, they're obviously the Don Staleys of the world and stuff deal with it well too, but if there's a coach right now that you feel confident won't let some outside noise like that get to newcomers, freshmen, transfers, returners' heads, I think it would be Kim Caldwell, because I just don't think she'll even remotely let that fly.
That's interesting, Brett. I mean, there's some real blue chip 4 and 5 star talent in here, like multiple 5 stars. This is a big time class. Some of them are going to have to play, but you also have some returning faces that have bigger roles, like Talaysia Cooper obviously is prime for, not a breakout year, but a good, I guess this is it, right, Sylvia? This is it for Cooper at UT. Or do you think it's one more year for her?
The WNBA is not, the same as the NBA or the NFL where you're necessarily jumping at the opportunity to go and play. It's like, you saw Rickea Jackson would have been a pretty high draft pick and she decided to come back. So it's not uncommon at all. You see it a good amount. So I wouldn't rule out her coming back. I wouldn't rule out her leaving early too. Like she's that type of player. But the women's basketball is one that you kind of have to wait and see.
Interesting. But yeah, like, what do you think, Brett, when you look at this roster and what Kim has done, what you saw from year one? Do you see this being a top 8 team and being a 2-3 seed going into March next year?
Yeah, I think we're going to be better this year than we were last year. I think you improved a lot of areas. You got deeper, which is crazy. The best thing is you got more athletic. I think you're going to have 5 girls on the floor every single minute of the game that can run, can get after it. Nothing against Puckett and Darby and some of those girls who could shoot it, but they just couldn't play this style of basketball for the most part. I don't think they can get up and down the floor like some of these girls are. And yeah, like you said, you got 4 and 5 star girls that just want to go and play basketball and get up and down the floor. And this is the perfect style of basketball. And you're going to continue to see it. I think we got deeper in the front court and back court all together. I'm excited for this team personally. And yeah, I think they're going to, I don't know if you can surprise some people anymore, but definitely a top 8 team this year for sure.
Yeah, and they're definitely on radars, right? Across, like they're not, they can't really play. You can't play the underdog card a little bit, but yeah, you're not going to go into UConn and catch them by surprise. But it's tough to find 5 more teams, if even that many, that are more talented roster-wise than the Vols have. Like they do have a very strong roster, which is very impressive for year 2 for Kim. I know you have the benefit of being at Tennessee and the Lady Vols and all that, but like you still have to go out there and convince players that they want to play there. So I do think that says a lot about what she's done on the recruiting trail.
I just am so curious about who ends up getting the most amount of minutes and takes the lead guard status by the horns, like who is it actually going to be? Who plays the most minutes there and who really steps? Because I just think Kim's going to rotate there, right? She's going to try different things, I imagine, pretty early on. Right, Sylvia?
Yeah, I mean, they'll throw everyone on the floor. I mean, like they'll play every single person on the roster in the first game. I can almost guarantee it. That's just what she likes to do early in the seasons to see what she has. So they'll give a look at everyone at every role. Like I think on paper, maybe Talasia would be the starting point guard, but at the same time, it doesn't like really matter, I guess. Like, Samara was the quote starting point guard last year, but it's not like she brought the ball up every time up the floor and things like that. Like it's a lot of just, who got the rebound, who's a guard that you can outlet it to. It's very positionless basketball. So it only matters so much, I think.
Yeah, I was wondering if it'd be the Nia Robinson or the Kanaya Boyd or one of them as the quote unquote.
Like those are options. Both of the Paldo twins are options. It looks really good.
You can't even name a starting five, really. It could vary game to game. You got your three main girls, but who starts alongside them is the question.
I was going to say, who are the locks? Who are the closing locks? Spearman, I would say. Cooper.
I don't know if Whitehorn's still in the doghouse, but
Ruby Whitehorn, Talasia, Z, probably Janiyah Barker, and then maybe the fifth spots, whoever's open would be like if we teleported right now and there is 2 minutes on the clock in a tie game, I think that's who Kim would put on the floor, and then it could be a few different options for that fifth spot.
Yeah, you could go two bigs. You could put Janiyah Barker out there. You could. I mean, she's got so many options now, like they didn't have last year. Like it's crazy because Spearman is just so athletic. Latham's good. I mean, you're just looking down the roster. All these girls are going to get minutes. It's crazy.
Latham's a good shout there. She's on track to have a very strong year. I don't think she's going to be like SEC all SEC team or something like that, but she is going to play her role as an athletic forward that can shoot the ball very well. I think Kim's been, from what I've heard, seems very excited about what she has in Alyssa Latham this year.
So what is she as a player?
She can defend. She's long. She's quick enough to be in the press and do those things, but she can shoot the ball too. And that's something that Tennessee, if you could add one thing right now to the Lady Vols roster, it's 3-point shooting. And I think that's something that they're going to ask Alyssa to do a good bit more this year. And now she's got to step up and make those shots, but she seems capable of doing it. So I think that's a lot of the reason why she could play a pretty significant role this year.
I love it. Ryan, Sylvia, what can the good folks check out from you and the team over at RockyTopInsider.com this week?
Yeah, obviously just men's, women's basketball media day today, but of course football season still king. And as much as it hurts Chase that I'm picking his Crimson Tide to go down this weekend,
we'll have to stop.
Tennessee, Alabama going this week to make Chase happy. We'll have some Tennessee, Kentucky stuff coming up next week. We'll have you covered on baseball scrimmages and all that stuff as well. Anything you need Tennessee athletics at Rocky Top Insider.
I love it. What about you, Brett Hullander, over there at FANRUN with William Pattison and company?
Yeah, William does a good job. He outlines everything. He keeps it to himself, though. You don't know until about 30 minutes before the show what we're talking about. But he's strictly college football day in and day out. Like, no mention of basketball yet. I think he's more NBA, honestly, than college, if I had to guess. But, maybe when it gets started, he'll actually throw some of that in there. But right now, it's just been college football all day between James Franklin and all that noise. It's fun, though. It's been good. And the rotating cast of characters that come in on his show with us. So that's been good. Yeah.
I love it. Ryan, Sylvia, Brett Hullander, always a pleasure. And I'll talk to y'all again very soon. All right, we're back here on the Chase Thomas podcast, where I'm now joined by fellow University of North Georgia alumni, host of the Georgia Voice of College Football down there at Decatur, Georgia. My good friend, fellow University of North Georgia alumni Matt Green is here. Matt, good evening, sir. How are you?
Good evening, sir. It is good to be back with you. Another week of college football. This is the loaded slate I've been talking about for weeks, where we get all 16 SEC teams are in action playing against each other. So I'm excited, man.
And with how jumbled together the SEC is this year, I mean, it's just, I looked through these games years ago. These might have been a lot of blowouts. In 2025, probably a lot of close games that's going to continue to shock people how close they are. It might be Kentucky at home against Texas. It might be Arkansas against A&M that we'll talk about. But yeah, you look at this slate, and I mean, it's not even just that slate. I mean, USC, Notre Dame's a big time game. Obviously, BYU, Utah, Big 12 title implications there. But there are big games all over the place, Matt Green. And that's even with all the coaches getting fired here in the middle of the season. So we're on all kinds of coach hot seat watch over the next couple of weeks. But yeah, I mean, it's pivotal games in the SEC for a lot of these coaches who are at home in some big spots like Billy Napier and Hugh Freeze. It's a big Saturday for them. But yeah, it's going to be a great weekend of college football. And yeah, I think I'm excited to watch it. And I got to wait until Saturday night, first night game for Tennessee this year on the road at Bama.
Is that right? First night game of the year?
First night game. They haven't hosted one, and right now we'll see. I think Tennessee is in a good spot to host a night game against Oklahoma for their dark mode uniforms in a couple weeks here. But they'll be at Kentucky next week at night. That's also been confirmed. That's gonna be a night game. But yeah, till this point, Tennessee had not played a night game yet.
Oh, interesting.
So we shall see how it will go for the Vols in Tuscaloosa. But before we get there, Matt Green, let's do a refresher on our pick'em and where things stand going into week 8, sir.
Yes, sir. So money line, I didn't realize this last week. We are now tied on the season at 52-26. Given the people winners, that's basically exactly two thirds of the time. 67%, 66.6 repeated if you want to get technical. But then against the spread, I got a 8-game lead on you, sir. I am 45-33 on the season against the spread. Just under 58%. Feeling good about that. And then you right now are at 37-41. So 47%. I trust you're going to get back to 50 soon.
Yeah, it's all right.
And then Zeus 5-3 on the season. The Wildcats let him down. Arizona a week ago.
Oh, I guess we're counting week 0. Who was his home underdog in week 0?
He had some. There's a week he had 2. He had Florida and Maryland one week. There was no week 0.
We gave him a twofer.
Yeah, man, we're generous with Zeus. If he's feeling it, he just wants to give the people winners.
It's true. How was Zeus this week? All good on Zeus?
Zeus is excellent, man. I was looking at not to get morbid here, but I was looking at the average lifespan of a Rottweiler is 8 to 10 years. And Zeus is coming up on year 13 here. So he's going strong into his old age.
Yeah, you don't really talk about Maddox anymore. Maddox is the forgotten dog here. He doesn't even get his home dog of the week, and that's really more of your dog. Maddox is just out of the picture. He's just got full little brother syndrome. He's the other dog. He's just the overlooked dog in the Green household.
Yeah, it's your dog, No, I think he's number 2. He's accepted his role. He's the prince doesn't become the king until the king relinquishes the throne. So as long as Zeus is around, he's still the king.
So Zeus is there's an understanding in the Green household that Zeus is top dog.
Oh, absolutely, sir. Zeus ranks higher than me in my house. So it's like I compare it to like Maddox is our son together. Zeus is like my father-in-law that like lives with us. It's more that dynamic.
He's Jerry Stiller from King of Queens.
Exactly. If they had kids, that's exactly.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. I mean, he does predate you. Zeus had,
exactly.
That is the case. Well, Matt Green, shout out to Zeus and Maddox. Both good dogs who eat well.
Absolutely. And
they eat well.
For sure.
Not this week though, probably.
That's true. They're on a different schedule. Tori's got a 7-7 schedule when she's feeding them. I'm more of a 9-9 kind of guy. So
9 p.m.
Yeah, like where I feed them at because whatever reason feed them 12 hours apart. I'm like, I'm gonna wake up. I'm not gonna wake up before work and do this. So it's like, they'll eat on my schedule. They'll be fine. They get their meals.
Hold on. How difficult do you think feeding an animal is? And you're like, I can't feed them first thing. It's not that hard. What else?
I don't know if I'm telling on myself here. I'm not up by 7 o'clock.
I get that, but 8, 9. I'm more amazed at the 9 p.m. Like Khaleesi would be losing her mind waiting until 9 o'clock. She's on the dot at 5 every day.
Yeah.
Like even when I feed her late, because there are days, like especially on the weekends, if you wake up late or whatever, like she's chilling. She's fine with a late breakfast. But doesn't matter how late her breakfast was, she's ready for that 5 o'clock dinner opportunity.
No, that's definitely how our dogs are when the missus is in town. But
they're just looking.
They're
You're
on
like,
my
sorry, man, I don't know what
schedule.
to tell you. You got a couple more hours to go.
They know I'm not going to respond to it, so they're just going to take what they get. They'll get their meals.
I mean, they're going to get it, but
I'm a calm and assertive pack leader over here, man.
All right, there you go. Wow.
Let's get back to college football.
Well, Matt Green, college football week 8 is here. Let's get into our big 5 pick 'em. Both our teams are in gigantic games this weekend, almost identical lines. Depending on where you look, they are identical. 7.5, 8.5 for Georgia and Tennessee, respectively, except for Georgia is a 7.5 point home favorite against the Rebels on Saturday. And then you've got the Alabama Crimson Tide 8.5 point favorites right now in FanDuel over the Tennessee Volunteers on Saturday night as well. So let's start with the Georgia Bulldogs, Matt Green, 7.5 point home favorites. What say you about this game?
Yeah, so College Game Day is going to be in town, sir, and it is coming to your city, as they say. Fun fact for you: they don't still play that song. They still play the song, don't they?
Can I be honest about something?
You haven't watched it all year?
Haven't watched it once this year.
I'm pretty positive. Like, you're making me question it. I'm pretty sure it's not like the same guys. Like, it's like a different people singing it. And there's a little hip hop thrown in there, but they've had that for a while. With the guy with like the one verse. But yeah, I mean, I think it's the same song still. But regardless, we're getting off on a tangent there. Fun fact for you. The 15 years that Mark Richt was the head coach, College Game Day came to Athens twice. This is now the 8th time in the last 7 years that College Game Day will be in Athens under Kirby Smart, and Georgia 7-0 under Kirby when game day is in town. So, maybe there's something to be confident about. But looking at this game, and everything is not about who you've played. Like you can be a better team than another team and you just haven't played. You don't have the resume, but you're still better. It's like that's not everything. But the resume of Ole Miss is what's kind of gotten me like, I'm a little more wait and see on Ole Miss than any of these other SEC teams, to be honest. Top 10 teams, to be honest. Like A&M, I feel like has proven it at times. Like Alabama has proven it multiple times. Like Georgia's played, arguably one good win if you're really counting, but they've at least played multiple big time games to this point. Ole Miss is like they've beaten LSU. Like LSU is a good win. But outside of that, I'm just not sure what to make of this team to this point. Like, they're not as good defensively as they were a year ago. They're giving up over 150 yards on the ground. And I think it's worse against G5 competition or G6 competition than it is against Power 4 competition too so far. So I just look at what they've done to this point. This is the first road start, because I don't think Chambliss was not the starter when they played at Kentucky, and the Kentucky is their only other road game this year. And every game they've been in has been tight. Like, not that I disrespect Arkansas or anything. Like we'll get to Arkansas in a little bit, but I think they got no shootout, whatever. They won a close game. They won a close game with Kentucky. They won a close game with with LSU. And then they also won a close game with Washington State. Maybe you shrug that off. It's a look ahead game, but this team is just not really putting up the points, at least against legitimate competition, that a typical Lane Kiffin team does. And I don't know, just going into Athens, I think Georgia's going to have success on the ground in this one. I definitely worry about, these slow starts Georgia's getting off to. Like it's hard to feel like really confident if you're Georgia, just if you're going to get down 14-0 in the first quarter or something, or what 21-7 it was to Tennessee. Tennessee, at least the offense didn't start slow in that game. It's like the offense was kind of going blow for blow pretty for the most part with Tennessee. But like you spotted Alabama 14-0 before you kind of got anything going. So if they have another slow start, like I definitely worry about, Ole Miss's offense is a whole lot better than Auburn, but I don't think Ole Miss's offense is as good as Tennessee or Alabama this year, if we're just kind of comparing them to who Georgia's played to this point. So Trinidad Chambliss has looked really good. So like I can't say anything about him. Like I said earlier this week, like Lane Kiffin, I feel like is kind of like Josh Heupel in the sense that I think because they're offensive guys, people just kind of imagine they're fun and gun. And they obviously do like to do that, but these teams run the hell out of the ball. So Ole Miss is always going to want to run the ball. Georgia's run defense is probably been the best part of their defense to this point this year, because it's obviously not the pass defense or getting after the quarterback. So if Georgia can make them one-dimensional, like they didn't necessarily make Alabama one-dimensional because they had some success, but Alabama was able to beat Georgia through the air. And can Trinidad Chambliss do that? Maybe. He's a legit dual threat, but I don't know. I think with how much success Georgia is going to have on the ground, I anticipate Georgia having on the ground, I think this could be a good offensive performance for Georgia. Like, I think I could see this being a high-scoring game in general, but I don't know what it is, but like it's just vibes. It's not like the best analysis or anything, but for whatever reason, I feel more confident this week than I did a week ago going to Jordan-Hare Stadium to play a 2-loss Auburn team. You know, like that game just felt really scary to me. I know what happened between Georgia and Ole Miss a year ago. One of the bigger beatdowns, one of the just bigger uncompetitive games, one of the most uncompetitive games I can remember under the Kirby Smart era. But I feel like I don't trust this Ole Miss team can consistently get stops against Georgia. I think this is going to be the best offense they've played since Arkansas, probably. And we saw what Arkansas did. Like if they don't fumble on that last drive, they might put up 40 against this Ole Miss team. So I like Georgia win, and I'm going to say Georgia covers. I'm going to say Georgia wins this by 2 touchdowns, 34-20.
So one of the things I just can't shake about where we're at in college football, particularly the SEC this year, is that the big drop off. I was trying to send this to you actually earlier, but there was a stat. I do not have it in front of me, like who actually posted it. It was, but it highlighted over the last like 6-7 years, the average margin of victory among SEC teams and in conference games. And like 6 years ago, it was somewhere around 17 points is the average margin of victory among SEC games. It's down to like 10.7 this year. And that kind of speaks to where everything is. Think about the close games Georgia has been into this point. Think about Tennessee. All 3 of their games have been close, 2 overtimes. You look at Ole Miss and their wins against Kentucky. They beat Kentucky by 7. They beat Arkansas by 6. They beat LSU by 5. Those are their
I wonder
3.
how much of that like data set is impacted by Vanderbilt. Like Vanderbilt's a team that was losing by like 50 points a game sometimes. Like there was that year, I think, was it 2017? It was like back-to-back weeks. Alabama beat them like 63-0, and then Georgia beat them like 56-0 or something like that. Like I wonder if just the fact of Vanderbilt being good and competitive like just changes the whole conference.
I'm sure that's part of it, but I think another part is that like Auburn has serious flaws, but they're in every game. Florida, obviously major flaws, but you never know what you're going to get there. They're not getting blasted. Arkansas has one of the best offenses, but they're not. They might go winless in SEC play. Mississippi State might go winless in SEC play, but they're a whole lot spicier than they were a year ago. I think that's just
Mississippi State
doesn't
doesn't have a conference win yet?
No.
Okay. I guess it's the Arizona State. That's the big one.
They haven't had one yet in the Levy era. They went 0-8 last year too.
Are you sure? I thought they started 5-0.
Who did they beat?
I don't know. I'll find it.
Unless I'm missing something off the top of my head. I don't think they have a win. Who did they beat?
I'm pulling up their schedule now. No, they started 4-0.
Okay. I was like, I didn't think.
Yeah, that's just the non-con. Then Tennessee and A&M. Yeah.
So I think this game's going to be close. I think 7.5 feels about right. I think one of the things people are going to latch on to is that this was a blowout 2 years ago. But the difference between 2 years ago and now, obviously there's a lot of differences, especially on the Georgia side of things. But Georgia was number
one starter, honestly.
Well, I'm just talking about just the makeup and where Georgia was roster-wise, right? Like, it was just different. Georgia was number 1 in scoring defense the last time Ole Miss came to town. It's a very different situation. Kiffin is what, 2-1 against Kirby all time head-to-head matchup, I believe. Is that correct?
No, just 1-1.
Just 1-1. Okay, and UGA is 33rd in offense per BCF toys right now. So there's still some just weirdness when it comes to Georgia's offense. I think to start the year, they're still trying to figure out their identity. Like, I don't know what Georgia's offensive identity is. Like, that's not been the main problem. Like you talked about on the recap show, they struggle obviously with the pass rush, but getting off the field, like that's a major problem for them. But they have dudes like Chris Cole's a dude. They have guys, but they're struggling to get off the field. I just don't know what their offensive identity is to this point. And I think sometimes they want to go heavy Oscar Delp and tight end. Sometimes they're going to go heavy Zachariah Brandt. Sometimes they're going to go heavy Chauncey Bowens. Like, it doesn't feel like Georgia knows who they are yet offensively. And that doesn't mean they're going to stay in the 30s in offensive efficiency for the course of the year. But it's just like, I think Georgia is at a completely different place than they were 2 years ago. So I just think they're more, it's not even beatable. Like, I don't think they're losing this game to Ole Miss. I'll say that. But I do think this is going to be close. I think Ole Miss is going to hang with them. I think Ole Miss's defense is not what it was a year ago, but I also don't think Georgia's offense is going to is just going to blow the doors off the Rebs in this game. I think this is going to be a one-possession game late in the fourth quarter. Like, I think Georgia's going to have to work for this. I think Chambliss is a good player, and I think he's going to push Georgia's defense. We'll see, especially if he gets time in the pocket. That'll help him in this big spot. But like you said, they haven't played anybody. Like, one of the things about them and A&M, who we'll talk about here in a second, is like they've played one road game to this point. Like, both, that's one of the overlooked parts of Ole Miss and Texas A&M to this point. They've been on the road once through 6 games. So it's a little bit unclear as to how good they really are. They haven't won in Athens since 1996. So this would be kind of unprecedented for Ole Miss to go and win this football game. But they've also only played one ranked team through 6 games. So I just think there's a lot of unknowns about Ole Miss to this point. I think they have some dudes. I think they're going to push Georgia in this game. I just don't think they're going to win outright. I think Georgia wins close. And I think it's going to give me Georgia 24, Ole Miss 20.
Yeah, also CJ Allen has been a baller this year.
True.
I think I underrated him a little coming into this season, thinking he was getting the benefit of the doubt because he was Georgia's starting inside linebacker, but he's been a baller so far this year. But in terms of your point to Georgia's offensive identity, I think Zachariah Branch is essentially an extension of Georgia's run game, and that's how he was used in the Auburn, because Georgia was not able to run the ball against Auburn. And I think that's why Zachariah Branch having, 9 for 75 essentially was like their way to get rushing yards. So I don't know. I like Georgia's weapons. I think the biggest problem with that Georgia's offense has had is not getting enough possessions in first halves of games. I mean, that 99-yard drive after the Jackson Arnold fumble, that was Georgia's 3rd drive of the game. Like, that's insane with 2 minutes to go in the half. Like, so Georgia's defense has got to get off the field on 3rd down. I think that's like the number one thing. You just can't allow Ole Miss to take also what that 3rd down conversions do to the crowd. As someone who was in the crowd of the Alabama game, like, it's so deflating when you just have this many opportunities for the crowd to get hype on 3rd down and another conversion. It just takes the wind out of the sails, takes the crowd out of the game, and Georgia needs the crowd for all 4 quarters of this game.
I like it. I think it's going to be a great game. I just think it's going to be really close, and it's going to come down to a couple plays, and I think we'll see how it goes. But I don't think either team is great at getting to the passer. I think Chambliss and Stockton are going to have time to dice the opposing defenses up. I'm curious. I mean, it's kind of wild. Like, Tennessee has 26 sacks this year, Matt Green. Georgia has 8. Ole Miss 9. Like, it's just jarring, the difference in sack numbers here. So Tennessee leader in the country in sacks, and you look at it and you're just like, man, but that doesn't mean you're a great defense, because Tennessee has all kinds of other problems, but they are elite in certain aspects.
Yeah, it feels like the Kiffin Kirby thing. Like, everyone wants this to be like the biggest coach rivalry, and I feel like they're too friendly, and they're not allowing this to become a rivalry that people want it to be.
I don't think there's any juice for it to be a rivalry.
No.
Too far apart. not enough history. Ole Miss, just not a historically great football program.
Yeah.
Lane's just really, really good at the right time. And yeah, I don't think that's going to stick.
Two of the bigger personalities, I feel like, as far as coaches.
It would have
in
a
the
bigger,
SEC.
if Lane went to Florida this offseason, then Florida, Georgia with Lane versus Kirby. Now that you could sell me has a lot of juice, and then it could get very interesting.
I
between
think
the
he
two of them.
already had an opportunity to go to Florida, didn't he? When Napier was hired, I don't know. I feel like he just fits Florida so well. Like it's the vibe that Florida wants to have in their coach. But he's fitting in Mississippi pretty well right now too.
Yeah, we shall see. Tennessee at Vanderbilt at Alabama, 8.5-point road dogs. What say you about the Vols in Tuscaloosa?
I'll be honest. Communicating with you has swayed my opinion on this game. I feel like for whatever reason, just maybe it's vibes. I feel like Tennessee is gonna give Alabama everything they want in this game. But the lack of confidence coming from the Tennessee fans is, I feel like, kind of throwing me off, or at least some of the Tennessee fans I hear. So maybe it's the Heupel road stuff, and obviously Alabama's just a really good team. Tennessee hadn't won in Tuscaloosa since 2003, I think. So I don't know. I feel like with what Alabama has given up on the ground this year, I feel like if Tennessee's able to run the ball to go with this passing game, I see Tennessee's offense having a lot of success in this game. I just think at the end of the day, I just probably can't pick a Heupel team to go on the road and get it done. Like the one road game we've seen this year is Mississippi State, right? And that was not the best performance. Aguilar threw a couple interceptions. Like, it's hard for me to be confident in this team going on the road, even though I think there's going to be some points scored in this game. So I'm gonna take Tennessee to cover the spread. So maybe I'm hedging my bet, but I'm gonna say Alabama wins this 34-30.
Yeah, I think this is going to be close. Tennessee has played Bama very well on the road in Tuscaloosa. It's been one of those deals where Tennessee should have won in Tuscaloosa 2 years ago. That was one of those deals where I am convinced, kind of like what Auburn did against Bama or against Georgia last week, where 17-0 going in the half is very different than 10-3, 10-0, whatever the case may be. Two scores, like Georgia feels very differently being down 3 scores going into the half. And Tennessee 2 years ago was up 2 scores going into the half, and they kind of jumped all over Bama. And then Bama 2 plays out of the gate in the second half, they score a touchdown. And then it's a 1-score game, and obviously Tennessee is shut out, and it all unraveled in the second half for Tennessee. You remember fourth quarter or in the fourth quarter in 2021, Tennessee, that was a game. That was one where Tennessee and Alabama were trading body blows deep, or Tennessee was throwing all over Alabama. And it was a night game like this. So I don't think, you and I have talked about the atmosphere. I think Alabama is one of the weaker SEC atmospheres, especially at night. It's not one of those deals where I think Tennessee is going to be faced at all. Jermod McCoy has been ruled out.
Weaker SEC atmospheres, throwing shots.
I think it is. I would imagine most Alabama fans would admit that Bryant-Denny is not one of the top tier night game atmospheres. I mean, I can just go through it right now. You got
100,000 people. Like, it can't not be an intimidating environment.
Well, I'll throw it out right now. 1, Tennessee, 2, A&M. And I'm not doing this in order of like what I think is the craziest night games. I'm just saying what's better, clearly better than Alabama and scarier than Alabama. Tennessee, A&M, Oklahoma, LSU, South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Auburn. What is that, 7? And that's probably about where you're getting into the Alabama territory, where it's
it's the SEC. It's like they're all super loud. It's difficult to play.
I don't think so. I don't think it's one of those deals where Tennessee has been rattled in some places on the road. This is not one of the places that Tennessee has been rattled on the road in the Heupel era. So I just don't think they're going to be phased there. Kalen DeBoer is 7-1 against top 10 teams, Matt Green, which is good for Tennessee, because I don't know if it's going to be their 4th straight game against a ranked team. So there's a body blow theory there in play for the Vols that could help them. I think it's good that there's a lot of Vols doubt, because this is like where Kalen DeVore and Alabama have struggled. Like if they do not get up for this game and they look at Tennessee as like, yeah, they're all right, but they're not like it's not like a Georgia or just one of our bigger kind of games.
You think they're not getting up for Tennessee?
I just wonder if they take Tennessee for granted because they're like, Tennessee struggled to get by Mississippi State and Arkansas. And I don't know. I am curious how that goes for Tennessee. Maybe it ends up not being anything. But
they did lose to this team a year ago.
For sure. But I also think Tennessee, what's interesting to me is I think Tennessee is better in the trenches than Alabama. So most of the time in the SEC, if you have better trench play, you usually just win the game outright. Like Tennessee's defensive line, especially on the right-hand side, like opposite of Caden Proctor, they had problems. Like Mizzou was blowing up Alabama's offensive line on that other side, Damon Wilson and company. So I think Simpson's going to get rushed in this game. I think he's going to get hit often, and we'll see how he does off platform and stuff like that. But I also think Ty's going to have a fantastic game against this defense. The secondary for Tennessee, the safety play, we talked about in the recap show, it's just bad. Like Tennessee safeties are bad. They're going to be bad the rest of the way. They need to get more out of Star between Boo Carter and Jalen McMurray. I think they're going to test Ty Redmond a lot. True freshman corner, Jermon McCoy's out again. Edwin Spillman, your third linebacker who plays a lot, plays second most snaps. He's suspended for the first half for the targeting call in the second half against Arkansas. So you're not going to have him early in the middle of the field. I think this defense is going to get carved up. But I do think what will end up deciding whether or not Tennessee can win is like Tennessee has still forced turnovers. Like they forced 2 fumbles. They had 2 defensive touchdowns on the road at Mississippi State. And the defense gives up a lot, but it also has been really good, not only just in sacks, but in forcing fumbles, forcing interceptions, and timely ones where it's like, yeah, Tennessee might give up 500 yards on Saturday to Alabama. Wouldn't surprise me at all. But what if they have a pick six and a fumble inside Bama's 30-yard line or something, and that ends up being the difference? Tennessee wins 45-42. I think that's definitely in play. So I think Tennessee's going to have to score, I think, 45 plus to win this football game. And I just think that's where you're at with this defense. But I do think it's doable for this offense. I think this offense, I mean, obviously number 1 in the country in scoring. They're going to score on this Alabama secondary. I don't think Alabama scares you defensively nearly as much as they did years ago. But Tennessee's going to throw. Tennessee's going to take some shots. Tennessee's offensive line, I think, will do just fine against Alabama's front. I just think it's going to come down to, can their defense get a couple of timely stops and maybe a couple of turnovers like they've been able to do the last couple of SEC games, and that be the difference, because the margin is so slim where they're averaging 38 points per game in SEC play and they're giving up 36. So it's just, the margins are slim, and I think that they are going to have a real shot to win here, but they're going to have to capitalize on those. If Bama gives them a gift or two, what does Tennessee do? That's the difference in this game. So I think it's going to be super, super close. But until Tennessee wins on the road at Tuscaloosa for the first time since 2003, I'm not predicting that to happen. So give me Alabama 42, Tennessee 34.
So that's Alabama covering the spread?
Yeah, I have Alabama covering, just barely.
We'll see, sir. Kalen DeBoer's lost 5 games in his Alabama tenure, and not one of them was in Tuscaloosa. So we shall see. Even though Chase Thomas says it's not difficult to play there.
It's just, it's not a rowdy, and I mean, it's just not like, it's fine.
I think people get too hung up on like
it's
these
a country club atmosphere. It's just,
I think people get too caught up on these ranking stadiums, like, and how
I'm not even talking about ranking.
The
intimidating part was Saban. Like, it was, you were walking in to face Nick Saban at home. Like, that was the scary part.
See, I think that's the X factors, because it's not Saban anymore. So I feel like now it's a new generation of Alabama fans. They gotta bring it. It's not just sit there and clap and we win by 40 points like it was during the dynasty. I think it's a different energy now that they're like one of the regular teams again. Not that they're not still maybe the best this year, but they're just like a regular good team, not this dynasty that they once were.
LSU at Vanderbilt in the year 2025. The Commodores are favorites over the Bayou Bengals at home in Nashville. 2.5-point favorites. What say you, Matt Green?
I'll be honest. I feel like Vanderbilt's a little overrated right now. Like I think they're definitely a respectable, like maybe upper top half SEC team this year. They've been good. But it almost feels like they're getting a little too much hype right now. Fun fact: Vanderbilt's never beaten LSU in Chase Thomas's lifetime. They have beaten him in my life.
Yeah.
In 90. LSU's played 4 games. So I'll say with that, I kind of just vibes wise, I feel Vanderbilt is kind of on the overrated side right now. But LSU's played 4 games against Power 4 competition, has yet to score more than 20. They're averaging 19 points a game in those 4 games. Vanderbilt's played, maybe not the same level of competition, but maybe 40. They hung 44 at Virginia Tech. They're not good, but hung 31 at South Carolina, and scored only 14 at Bama. But the craziest thing I said there was at Virginia Tech and at South Carolina and at Alabama. They haven't played a home game versus a Power 4 competition so far this year. Vanderbilt's, so as much as buzz as they're creating and everything, a lot of this has been some versus cupcakes, but some of it's just been on the road against Power 4 competition. So even though I think Vanderbilt's a little overrated right now, I just think their offense is good to make some plays. And I can't say the same thing about LSU. Like their offense doesn't make plays. Like I know their defense is one of the best in the SEC right now, but I think it's going to come down to which offense can make a couple of plays. And the winner of this game probably has somewhere around 20 points because it seems to be how every LSU game is going this year. I think I like Vanderbilt to win this game. I'm going to take Vanderbilt 24-20, LSU 21.
Wait, say that. What did you say?
Vanderbilt 24, LSU 21.
Okay. After all that, you're still taking Vanderbilt.
Yeah, because I do think they're on the overrated side, but I also think LSU, what are they, number 11, 10 right now? I definitely think they're overrated. I was not buying the Garrett Nussmeier stock coming into this year, but I thought he was a good quarterback that you could just count on being solid. He's just been bad this year. And
This
maybe
seems
it's
like
the
a health
O-line
thing, though.
Yeah, maybe it's hurt. Maybe it's the O-line, but and I know he's been, under a lot of pressure this year in terms of offensive line, not personal pressure. but yeah, I wouldn't imagine Garrett Nussmeier being this bad through the first 5-6 games of the year.
Yeah. Man, it's just crazy to see Vanderbilt, and rightfully so, favored in this game, but it's just testament to what Clark Lee and Diego Pavia and company have built here. But yeah, I think this was a 1-score game last year. It was close. I think Vanderbilt's better, and I think LSU's worse. Vanderbilt's the best third down offense in the SEC. I think that's huge. Vanderbilt's second in red zone TD percentage in the SEC. LSU's one of the worst at 14th. That matters in these close games. Are you able to convert touchdowns when you get in the red zone, or are you kicking field goals? And Vanderbilt's running really good about just punching in the end zone. Diego Pavia is obviously a great red zone weapon, and I think they make the most of the opportunities when they get in there. And I just think Vanderbilt's just a straight up better team. They're better but like they're a more complete team as a whole, and I don't think it's an upset if Vanderbilt. I hope they don't rush the field if they win this football game. That would be a bad look. Vanderbilt's come too far now. Like, don't rush the field. Just like, hey, we're the better team this year. We beat LSU.
I don't know. I think
can't do it.
I think you're Vanderbilt.
It's embarrassing if they rush the field here. Like, you're literally a favorite.
They're still ranked higher, though.
Doesn't matter. You're a favorite. Like, you can't do it. Like, it's embarrassing.
I don't know. What time is this game? Is it a nooner?
Good question. I don't know off the top of my head.
I don't know why that matters. But
I was going to say, I don't really.
I feel like if it's a night game, you can rush the field. It is a 12 o'clock game. No, that obviously doesn't make a difference. But I don't know. I'm not going to hate on Vanderbilt if they rush the field on this one. Beating a top 10 LSU team at home. I mean, you're Vanderbilt. You got to celebrate these.
You can celebrate without doing that. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. I don't know what the football rule is, but apparently the basketball rule, because when Georgia beat Florida this past year, there was some sort of like 60-second clock of like, then they're allowed to rush the field or rush the court and everything and not get fined. I don't know. I guess the team was allowed to safely get off the court or something. I don't know if they have the same rule in football.
Final two that we'll hit on here real quick. Mizzou at Auburn. 1.5 point favorites are the Auburn Tigers. Matt Green, I think Hugh Freeze has to win this game to keep his job.
Yeah, I'm really torn on this game, to be honest, because this Auburn offense basically hasn't shown up all year. And what Missouri was doing against Alabama last week, just blowing up the line of scrimmage. Like, I feel like they're going to do the same thing to Auburn, and they obviously do not have Ty Simpson. But I just, as much as this is the ultimate wild card game to me, because Auburn is so much better than 3. Are they 3-3 right now?
Yes.
They're so much better than that. It feels like you could argue. I mean, I know people are saying the refs, lost them the game a week ago. I obviously see it differently. But whatever, controversial. You lost to Georgia. Texas A&M, who looks like the most legit kind of complete team in the SEC to this point. You lose 16-10. Like, you're in that game. And then Oklahoma, I do agree the refs just straight hosed them in that one for 14 points essentially. So Auburn is better than their 3-3 record says, and so many of those games are on the road. I just wonder, do they quit on Hugh Freeze, or do they start to show like what they're really made of? Because I feel like this team is good enough to honestly, not only good enough to win this game, they're good enough to win like their next 4 or 5 games in a row, to be honest. But like, so it just depends on, I feel like, coaching, and like I was kind of saying last week, like the negativity they went into the halftime with Georgia, feeling like the refs hosed them or whatever. It just felt like that rubbed off on the whole team. Like, Hugh Freeze is the leader. That's how your leader's looking. And they came out and did absolutely nothing in the second half. So that isn't a legitimate concern, I feel like, if you're Auburn. But with all that said, Missouri has not played a road game the entire season, sir. And Jordan-Hare Stadium, 7:45. It's a 7:45 SEC network. Maybe not the same atmosphere that Georgia was a week ago, but it's still a night game in Jordan-Hare. I was a little discouraged by from what I saw from Bo Perbula last week, and I think this Auburn defense is going to make some plays and turn the ball over a couple times. I think Auburn gets one. I'm going to say Auburn upsets Missouri, 20-17.
I don't see it. I think Mizzou looked really good, even in defeat. They really pushed. I mean, without a big time 4th down throw from Ty Simpson, and credit to him, he played great, and that was a big time throw from him. Mizzou was right there. Like, Mizzou gave Alabama all kinds of problems, and I think Mizzou's legit. Like, I think Mizzou's a really good football team. I think the combination of Damon Wilson and Zion Young, who have combined for 8.5 sacks on the edge, is huge for this particular game, because I think they're going to get home. Jackson Arnold's going to hold the ball too long. He's going to take some sacks. I think Mizzou's going to dominate the line of scrimmage. I think they just got through a very physical game against the Georgia Bulldogs last week, and they get greeted with another super physical team like Eli Drinkwitz and company. Like, Ahmad Hardy is going to run right at this really good Auburn defense, but this Auburn defense is licking their wounds, like they are coming off a very physical game where they just got bullied in the second half by Georgia and shut out, obviously, in the second half. I don't see it. I think the confidence is gone. You had to win that game last week against Georgia. You had all the momentum in the world. Auburn has 3 more passing plays that have gone for 10 plus yards than Kentucky this year. The passing game stinks. I don't think they're going to be able to score enough to hang with Mizzou. I think Mizzou's got a better offense than Georgia right now. Like, we'll see how it all unfolds, but Mizzou's got the best rush defense in the SEC against conference in conference games. They're not going to let Auburn run on them. Like, I don't think Jackson Arnold's going to be able to run on Mizzou in this football game. And I think that's something that Auburn's offense needs, is Jackson Arnold to use his legs and find success there. And I just don't think it's going to happen. So I think Mizzou's just better, and I think they're going to win outright. So give me Mizzou. Let's go Mizzou 28, Auburn 10.
28-10. So you think Missouri's going to be able to run on this Auburn defense?
I do. I think there's a real quit factor. I'm selling as much Auburn stock as I can. I mean, the whole weirdness with the captain this week, and he's gone from the team, and I don't know. It's just like, I feel like that their season was Saturday, and to go down that way, then to play a top 15, top 12 team in back-to-back weeks, because I think Mizzou's better than where their AP poll ranking is right now. Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, I think that's the wild card factor. I think if they play to their potential, like they just play the way they've played in their previous 3 games versus Oklahoma and A&M and Georgia, I think they're capable of beating Missouri. But I think the quit factor is real. But Auburn is giving up 2.8 yards a carry. Like they've been an elite run defense to this point. So you didn't see Missouri kind of run all over Alabama the way I kind of thought they might have. With the statistics would suggest they were going to. So I don't know. I think this Auburn defensive front might be the best in the SEC this year. So we'll see. It'll be interesting.
Final one here.
What was your Vanderbilt LSU score?
I think I had Vanderbilt 28, LSU 21.
Okay. Go ahead.
Final one here. Let's do A&M at Arkansas. Arkansas 7.5-point home dogs. This is my home dog of the week, Matt Green. I'm just going to spoil it. I have Arkansas winning this game outright. What say you, sir?
Yeah, A&M is 12-1 against Arkansas since they joined the SEC. However, this is the first game in Fayetteville since 2013 in this rivalry. One in College Station during COVID, but the rest of them in Arlington the past decade, basically. But Arkansas is the best 2-4 team in all of college football this year, sir, and they will beat someone. They're too dangerous not to get somebody. There are 32 players in college football this season with 500 rushing yards, and Arkansas has 2 of them. So I think I'm with you, man. This is my home dog of the week. I think the Razorbacks are going to get it. And I'm someone who likes A&M too. So I feel like a lot of people that are making this pick are probably people who just think A&M is fraudulent every year because they're Texas 8-5 or whatever. I do think this A&M team is legit. I just think Arkansas is not that bad. Like they're in all of these games that they're playing, other than Notre Dame that they just got beaten off the face of the earth. But yeah, I just feel like this offense is too dangerous. Taylor Green is too dangerous. This running game is really good. Yeah, I'm with you. I think Arkansas shocks the world. Not this podcast, but shocks the world and gets it done. I'm gonna say 31-28.
Well, it's also funny because people are like, it's just fraudulent A&M. They were going to be in the college football playoff. They just beat Texas last year at the end of the season. Because they would have gone to the SEC title game and they're in at that point. So it's like they weren't even fraudulent last year. Like they're 1 year removed from being in the college football playoff from if they just beat Texas in that final game. Like they had their CFP destiny in front of them the final week of the season and we're in a win and you're in the SEC title game against the Horns.
Yeah, for sure. And I think my take is probably just more along the lines of your original point you're making at the start of the show of just the SEC just feels so much more balanced across the board. 1 through 12 or so in this conference just feels a lot closer than it did in previous years. So yeah, it's not even taking anything away from A&M because I think they're still a legit SEC title contender and college football playoff contender, but I think Arkansas is going to get them. I mean, Tennessee made the playoff last year, right? With a loss at Arkansas. So, I mean, that doesn't mean it's the end of your season.
No, not at all. And I think my gut is Arkansas with Taylor Green, who I think can make the case. Is he the best quarterback in the SEC this year?
I feel like he is. I don't know. I feel like he's the most dangerous, but you might rather have a Ty Simpson. Just there's not as much. There's not as high a ceiling. There's not as low a floor. It's a lot of risk reward with Taylor Green, but he does make a lot of plays.
Leads SEC in total yards. A&M not been tested at all. They've only been on the road once. Big win though against Notre Dame. They're 13th in third down conversions in the SEC though, and Arkansas's got the best red zone touchdown percentage in the SEC. I think they're going to run on them. I'm very curious how A&M's rush defense works here, but Mike Washington, Braylon Russell, and Taylor Green has been and I just saw it firsthand. They're going to give A&M problems, and being at home, I think Petrino is going to scheme some stuff up, and he wants this job, man. And I think he gets a signature win here and surprises the Aggies on the road here. So give me Arkansas. Let's go Arkansas 38, A&M 35.
Yeah, I think last week was it was definitely encouraging. Like you didn't know what the Bobby Petrino Arkansas team would look like, other than the fact that we saw it like a decade plus ago. But you didn't know what this team was going to look like with him as the head coach. So I mean, the way they almost beat Tennessee a week ago, it was encouraging.
Let's do some rapid fire to wrap up here. Matt Green, Oklahoma at South Carolina. South Carolina 5.5-point home dogs. What say you?
I think I'm gonna go with another home dog here, sir. It's not that I think Oklahoma's just a phony. I don't think John Mateer's healthy. I don't know exactly what was going on in that Texas game, but this offense struggles when he's not carrying the load. So I just think this is where you don't want South Carolina. You want South Carolina when they're undefeated in the top 10 and people are loving on them. Like that's when you want to play South Carolina. But you don't want to play South Carolina once everyone's given up on them and they think they're trash and they're a huge bust. That's when it's like, okay, the Gamecocks are dangerous. So give me the Gamecocks to win this one. I'm going to say 27-21. South Carolina wins this. Another home dog of the week. I mean, whatever. They're a home dog. They're not the home dog of the week, but they're a home dog of the week.
I disagree. Oklahoma 20-7. They completely shut down South Carolina's offense. It's a nooner, Matt Green, not playing under the lights in Columbia. Give me Oklahoma in a sleepy affair where they just put the lockdown on South Carolina, and their really bad season just continues on. No,
20-7.
Yeah, 20-7.
Okay, put it on the board.
Mississippi State at Florida, 9.5-point home favorites are the Gators. Give me Gators win, but Mississippi State, too many points for a Florida team that I don't know. I'm kidding for every other week. So I think Mississippi State makes this the game. I think they cover. So give me Florida 34, Mississippi State 30.
Yeah, I'm with you. 34-30. I don't know why anyone would think Florida could beat anybody by 9.5 points to this point. Like it's just every game is just coming down to the wire if they're not losing by multiple scores. So
yes.
I'm gonna take Florida 27-26. They win. This is a barn burner.
Texas at Kentucky. Kentucky 12.5-point home dogs. I have Texas winning, but I think Kentucky covers. This has all the dragging Texas down to their level. I just lock it in. 12.5 is too many. I think Texas showed some stuff against Oklahoma, but after a big emotional win, them overlooking Kentucky on the road and just taking this for granted. I don't think they're going to lose this because they still have their CFP dreams in front of them, but I do think Kentucky covers. And we look over and the score is like 16-13 Texas wins. And people are like, what just happened again? So give me Texas 16, Kentucky 13 in this game.
Wow, 16-13. It's funny you say that because I didn't see the spread on this one, and I just wrote down 21-10. So I was like, okay, I guess by default, I am picking Kentucky to cover. But I feel like I'm kind of along the same lines of you. I feel like this is going to be the worst game of like the weekend. Like this is just going to be like a terrible game to watch. It's something about Kentucky. They have a way of being in terrible games. If that's how they want it. So yeah, I still don't trust this Texas offense, but I don't know, at Kentucky, maybe it's a little sloppy or something. And yeah, I'm with you. I think it'll be pretty boring. I'm gonna say Texas wins, Kentucky covers. So we agree on both of those last two.
USC, Notre Dame, the Irish, 9.5-point home favorites. What say you, Matt Green?
This one also feels a little too high. I think I had a stat that I wrote down. This is year 4 for both of these coaches. Freeman is 2-1 in this rivalry. Notre Dame's won 6 of the last 7. I don't know. That feels a little high to me. I'm going to say Notre Dame wins, but I think this one's going to be fun. I don't know how good Notre Dame's defense is this year. But their offense seems legit. So I think it's going to be more of a high scoring affair. I think Notre Dame wins this one. I'll say 38-35.
Okay. I think this is going to be very high scoring as well. I think USC is still legit. I think Notre Dame is a little flawed. I think USC is going to win this game outright.
Ooh.
I think Notre Dame's going to miss the college ball playoff, and this is their final major loss. I think they're headed towards like 8-4-ish this year. I think it's kind of a slight step back year for Notre Dame. So give me USC and their signature win under Lincoln Riley on the road in South Bend. Give me USC. Let's go USC 40, Notre Dame 34.
Yeah, this is Notre Dame's season on the line.
Yeah. Georgia Tech at Duke. The Dukies, 1.5-point home favorites. What say you?
Georgia Tech has won 4 straight in this rivalry, if you want to call it that. I think Georgia Tech is legit. I'm going to say the Jackets keep winning. 31-30. Georgia Tech wins this one. Duke's favored, right? Or is
Yes.
Oh wait, what does 1 point do there? Oh yeah, okay.
Doesn't matter.
Duke's favored. Never mind. Yeah. 31-30. Georgia Tech gets it done in dramatic fashion.
Tech's been playing with fire. They should have lost to Wake Forest. Duke lost to their good teams. I think Duke's just going to win this game. I think Tech's going to lose this. I think Tech's just playing with fire too much for me, for my liking, that I think they're eventually going to get got. And I think this is the spot where it finally happens. Give me Duke 35, Tech 30.
You said 35-30?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Final one, Utah at BYU. The Cougs, 3.5-point home dogs. What say you?
I was going back and forth with this one. There was a time where Utah dominated this rivalry, but BYU's won 2 straight. I think these teams are really evenly matched. What's the spread on it?
3.5.
Oh man, I don't like 3.5. I think this is going to be such a close game.
It's a coin flip game for sure.
But yeah, I think I trust Utah's quarterback more. Dan Pierce looked pretty good. He's a really good athlete. I'm gonna take Utah to win this one on the road. I'm gonna say 24-20. Utah wins the Holy War.
I disagree. I'm going home team. I think BYU stays perfect in the Big 12. They take care of business, but Utah covers. I think this is going to be a great finish. Give me BYU 28, Utah 27.
28-27. All right, put it on the board.
I'm excited to watch that one too when I can. This is the problem of Tennessee playing at night this week. Because what time does Utah BYU kick off?
Is that like an 8 o'clock game?
8 o'clock, yeah.
Yeah, that's solid. That's why I love having West Coast. If only we had a conference that was just only on the West Coast. We could call it something. I don't know.
To dream, Matt Green. Well, what can the good folks check out from you across Georgia Voice of College Football, sir?
Yeah, we'll check us out on Saturday evening, shortly after Georgia Ole Miss. This is kind of like the anniversary for me on the Georgia Voice of College Football. That was my first show a year ago. Was the post game after Ole Miss, after that beatdown. It was a pretty terrible first show, but now we're here a year later. So, yeah, check us out on Saturday night and every Monday at 7 p.m.
There you go. Matt Green, always a pleasure, and I'll talk to you again in a couple days.
Yes, sir.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas Podcast. Hell yeah.